near. Get ready.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Tyler, and I am joined by no one this week. This week I am doing the podcast solo. It's very weird. This is bizarre. Why is this happening? Let me explain. Keiran is sick right now. He has COVID-19. He tested positive for it, so he's doing fine in the sense that he is not in the hospital, as far as I know. He does not need to go to the hospital, but because of the symptoms that he has, it makes it difficult for him to talk. So, he's not able to do the podcast this week. But there was still a whole lot of news going on that happened this past week, and we said, you know what? I was like, I can easily just do it by myself, do it solo. That way, we still get something out, given everything that happened. We agree as what we would do. So here I am, all by my lonesome. This is very weird. I am not going to lie. It's very bizarre doing this all by myself. But we're still going to do it. We're still going to have a good time. It's still going to be a fun time here. And if anything, it gives me the opportunity to just go ahead and just absolutely trash Ori and the Will of the Wisps and the Blind Forest and Hollow Knight and not get any pushback at all from anybody. I can do that problem-free if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that, though, because I have no reason to. But if I wanted to, I could. And it would be really fun. But no, that's the case here. That's why I'm rocking solo this week. But it should still be a good show. It should still be a fun show because we have a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, remember, this is the Play to Win podcast, which is a weekly show where we talk about the past week's gaming news, some of the biggest news stories that came out during the week, and we talk about it with some in-depth discussions, give our opinions on what happened and what's going on, so on and so forth. Remember, follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play to Win Game for updates on the show and for any other things that we tweet out, post out, anything like that. Also, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Obviously, Play to Win. Subscribe to us here, turn on notifications so you know when videos go live as soon as they go up, and you can be one of the first people to watch them. That's really important. You don't want to be left behind on any of this type of stuff. Past week, we put up 2 podcast episodes. We put up our E3 recap one because it was delayed due to production issues, and then we also put up our episode 13 as well, which is where we kind of looked back on the past couple months with the new consoles that have come out, looked at where they are currently, and then looked to the future of the consoles as well as the rest of the year in terms of big game releases and notable releases and all like that. And it was honestly good time to do that episode given the week that we just had in terms of news and everything like that. So give those videos a watch. Remember, the podcast goes up every Monday, generally, assuming there are no technical difficulties. Generally goes up every Monday, and then on Fridays we typically have some other type of extra little video that we do that one of us will put out. This past Friday, obviously nothing went up because Keiran was sick. This coming Friday, we might get something up. It depends on if Keiran's going to do a video or if I'm going to do a video. If I'm doing a video, I'm going to try and have my Ratchet Clank review up. I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen this Friday, it will happen very soon because I've been playing that and I'm near the end of it. I will talk about that at the end of the show. But yeah, there should be something up this Friday. There wasn't anything up this past Friday. Things have been a bit out of whack, but trying to get things back on schedule and back into an orderly fashion, if you will. So, with all that housekeeping stuff done and out of the way. Oh wait, also I forgot. Subscribe to us on your podcast platform, your podcast platform of choice. Subscribe to us there. Share the show with anybody and everybody. Leave reviews, likes, comments, all that stuff, because all that stuff really helps us out a lot. So please, please, please do not forget to do that. Thank you very much. Now, with all the housekeeping stuff out the way, we're going to talk about, we're going to start getting into the show. And the main topics for this show. It's a Sony heavy show today, actually. There was a lot of Sony stuff that came out this week. So we're talking about the acquisitions that Sony made. We're talking about their indie problem that they have going on. We'll briefly talk about the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut that got announced. And that's all just for the Sony section. We'll then talk about the Dead Space remake that's in the works, and some new games coming to the Control universe. A lot of cool stuff here, a lot of meaty topics to talk about and get into. But before we get into those meaty topics, as always, we have some brief mentions to go through first. So, first up for our brief mentions this week, Doom Eternal's Invasion Mode was canceled. Id Software announced that this past week. They attributed the cancellation of their Invasion Mode to the difficulties of just working from home, all the COVID issues, really. What COVID affected everybody with. But instead of that, id Software, they're going to be making a single-player Horde mode for the game, thanks to the reception that people gave to the game's expansions that came out after the main game released. And they are also working on a refresh for the game's battle mode. So, exciting stuff there. The PSP store has closed, but you can still purchase and play PSP games that are available on the PS3 and PlayStation Vita stores. PSP in-game purchases are still not available, though. So PSP games, they still live on just a little bit longer. So if you didn't get to get them on the PSP store, if you have a PS3 or Vita, you still have a chance to get some. Star Wars The Old Republic was announced to be getting a new expansion this year called Legacy of the Sith. We know nothing else more about it, but we might hear more about it at EA Play. Speaking of EA Play, BioWare also announced that there will not be any Mass Effect or Dragon Age at EA Play this year because the teams are still, working real hard on those games. Disappointing, to say the least. I don't think anyone was really expecting much of Mass Effect to be there at all, specifically the new Mass Effect that's coming out. I think many people were more so expecting Dragon Age to show up in some capacity. I know I was. I'm not a Dragon Age person, but I was hoping it would be there for the fans that, have wanted that game for so long and want to see something for so long, because for the longest time, all we've got is concept art and narration and just basically nothing of substance from the game. So I wanted to see stuff from it, something actually substantive. And it's not happening at EA Play this year. Maybe some point later on this year, who knows, but neither Mass Effect or Dragon Age are going to be at EA Play this year. Again, speaking of EA Play, EA announced the EA Play Live Spotlight Series. This is going to be a set of 4 events ahead of the main EA Play event on July 22nd, and each spotlight is kind of like a panel based around a certain theme. So on July 8th, you have the future of first-person shooters. On July 13th, you have EA Loves Independent Studios. July 19th, you have Madden NFL 22 All Access Scouting. July 20th, there is more EA Sports, and that's literally what it's called, more EA Sports. And then on July 22nd, we have the actual EA Play Live event. So that's a cool little way, just I guess, to kind of give certain things their own time to shine. In the lead up to EA Play, it builds up some excitement for the main event, but also, gives certain games and certain genres and all just their own little space where, they can just control the messaging, control their own moment. Again, just their own moment to shine, own time to shine, all like that. And, if you're interested in it, cool. If you're not, you don't got to worry about it. Instead of having to sit through a whole event waiting for the thing you wanted to see, So, I think that's cool. We then also got the PlayStation Plus games for July revealed this week, and some pretty cool ones here. So for PS4, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 4. This was the multiplayer only, well, not multiplayer only, but multiplayer and zombies Call of Duty game. This one did not have a campaign when it came out in 2018. This was also the first one to introduce Battle Royale to the series in the form of the Blackout mode. It was a fun entry. It was a cool game. I personally really, really enjoyed Black Ops 4. I played a whole lot of it. A whole lot of it. I think it might be... I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite of the Black Ops games. I'm torn between that and Black Ops 3, because Black Ops 3 I really, really liked. But it's definitely one of the better Call of Duty multiplayer games in recent years. Modern Warfare is great. Modern Warfare is amazing, but it has some issues that keep it from not being as fun as Black Ops 4, but I think as a whole it's kind of better than Black Ops 4 in some ways. It's difficult, but regardless, Black Ops 4, it's a fun game. So if you're interested in it, that'll be free for PS Plus next month. Then there's WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which is the more arcadey type of wrestling WWE game that 2K released last year. Kind of got middling reviews, but I mean, it's free, no harm, no foul with that one. Then the PS5 exclusive PS Plus game for July is A Plague Tale Innocence. It is the next gen version of the game. Comes with 4K native resolution, targeted 60 FPS, better visuals, fast loading. That is awesome. That's fantastic, especially coming off the heels of the announcement of A Plague Tale Requiem, which is coming next year. So this is fantastic. I've been wanting to play this game for a very long time. I've been thinking about picking it up, but rumors kind of started in June that A Plague Tale Innocence was going to be PS Plus for July. So once those rumors started up, I was like, maybe I'll wait on it. Maybe I'll, wait and see what happens. And here we go. So if A Plague Tale Innocence interests you, get it on PS5 with PS Plus. It's going to be free for you. Should be a fun time. Should be great. And also, as a reminder, for July, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown is still going to be free for the month of July, and it will expire in August. I forgot exactly what day it is in August that these games expire on. August 2nd. So that's when all these games are free from. Tuesday, July 6th to August, July 2nd. August, July 2nd. August 2nd. Getting my words all mixed up. So remember, the final day to download the PlayStation Plus games for June is Monday, the day this episode goes live. Those games are Star Wars Squadrons and Operation Tango, so get them added to your PS Plus library. Even if you don't think you'll want to play them, add them to your library. That way you at least have them in case, one day you feel like, hey, maybe this, piques my interest. I want to give it a shot. Then we also got the Xbox Games with Gold for July announced as well. These games are, let's see here, Planet Alpha, Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break. And actually, hold on, let me read the dates for these. I forgot Xbox does like a weird date scheme for their Games of Gold stuff. So Planet Alpha is available from July 1st to the 31st. Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break is available from July 16th to August 15th. Conquer Live and Reloaded is available from July 1st to the 15th. And Midway Arcade Origins is available from July 16th to July 31st. I think these are fine games here, I think. I don't know anything about Planet Alpha. Rock of Ages, I played a demo of the very first one years and years ago, and I enjoyed it. So I think if Rock of Ages 3 is more of that, cool. Conquer, I know people like Conquer, so it's a backwards compatibility game, but it's something. Midway Arcade Origins could be something for someone. Again, I think this might be one of maybe the better Games of Gold months. I'm not too sure, because I don't really follow the Games with Gold months all that much, but yeah, those are your Games of Gold for July. 3 more brief mentions here to get through. Former BioWare general manager Casey Hudson has a new game studio called Humanoid Studios. They're working on an all-new IP. He announced that this past week. Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser has possibly started a new game studio, and it's called Absurd Ventures and Games. He's tied to it as the director, and the studio is classified as a, quote, ready-made interactive leisure and entertainment software development company. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this right here. And then finally, last but not least, ending on some really cool news, Xbox Cloud Gaming is now available to all Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. I believe the fine details on that is that it's available to all Game Pass Ultimate subscribers in 22 countries, I believe. I will check on that right now. But going alongside with that is the fact that now it is available on iOS and PC as well. So of course this is through web browser. So hold on, I'm trying to pull up the website here. Here we go. Where is it? I believe this is it right here. Where is it? Yes, across 22 countries is what Game Pass Ultimate, Xbox Cloud Gaming is available to all Game Pass Ultimate members in. Across 22 countries with Windows 10 PC and Apple phones and tablets via browser. So that's awesome. If you want to, become a member, or if you're already a member, you want to do this, just go to xbox.com/play on Microsoft Edge, Chrome, or Safari on your PC or mobile device. That way you can, get in on the fun and the action. And yeah, those are all our brief mentions this week. There's a fair amount of them here, but some cool stuff there. exciting stuff. I think the X Cloud thing is really cool. Well, Xbox Cloud Gaming, I should clarify. I think it's very cool. And not gonna lie, for a moment, I almost like signed up for Game Pass on my phone. Almost bought an Xbox controller over the weekend, just be like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. But I'm really trying not to do like playing it on my phone. If I had a tablet, I would probably have done it. I need to see if I can do it on my computer. I have a Mac. I have a MacBook Pro. I doubt I can, but if I could do it through my web browser on my laptop, then I would definitely sign up for it. It's like bring my laptop down to buy my right by my router with it, and it's the best. Because then that'd be cool. But I mean, yeah, I don't think I can. I got to look more into it though. But those are all the brief mentions. So brief mentions out of the way. Now we're gonna get into the actual news of the episode. So, like I said, it's a whole lot of Sony news. Sony kind of dominated the news this week for good and bad reasons. So we'll sandwich this. We're gonna do like a compliment sandwich. It's kind of what we called stuff like this at one of my old jobs. You start with something good, kind of put the bad in the middle, then you end with something positive as well. So we'll start off with the new acquisitions that Sony made this week. The first of them being Housemarque. Yes, Sony acquired Housemarque, the developers behind Returnal, Super Stardust HD, Dead Nation. They acquired that. They are now part of PlayStation Studios. And this is an acquisition that people have been expecting for a very long time. People have been anticipating. They've been wanting this to happen for the longest time. So I'm just going to read here. They announced it on the PlayStation blog. Herman Hulst, head of PlayStation Studios, put out a post about it, saying, "Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a new member to the PlayStation Studios family. I have been a fan of Housemarque since the studio's early days when they introduced Super Stardust HD to PlayStation fans. Housemarque's recent release of Returnal proves the studio is one with incredible vision, capable of creating memorable new games that resonate with our community. This addition enhances the creative forces of PlayStation Studios, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for Housemarque." And then, Ilari I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I apologize. I'm going to try my best here, though. Ilari Quitinen. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's the co-founder and managing director at Housemarque. He also basically put out a message echoing the same sentiments, sharing the excitement, for joining PlayStation Studios. I'm just going to read a small bit of it here. He says, "We are so excited to finally join the PlayStation Studios family. This gives our studio a clear future and stable opportunity to continue delivering on gameplay-centric approaches while still experimenting with new methods of narrative delivery and pushing the boundaries of this modern art form. Locally here in Helsinki, this also means that we will officially expand the PlayStation family to a growing industry hub and secure the legacy of the oldest game studio in Finland." And then he goes on to, basically say that they're still going to kind of do what they're known for, but they're also going to try new things as well. He says here in the final little bit of his statement, he says, "With the backing of SIE and its family studio supporting us, we can truly grow into our place in the industry and show what Housemarque can create with no limitations. We can't wait to show everyone what will be in store in the upcoming years, and we hope to usher in more lasting memories and exhilarating titles for the next quarter century and beyond." And this is an awesome announcement. I mean, coming off the heels of Returnal and how amazing that was. If you have not seen my review, go check that review out. I really liked this game. I thought it was amazing. It's really well designed. The story was really intriguing. Although it's not the typical Housemarque arcade style game that they walked away from, it still has arcade type gameplay roots. It still has their arcade gameplay roots in it at its core, with the fast-paced combat, just the bullet hell type mechanics with all these colorful particles coming at you in every which direction, the fast pace of things, and it's you have something like the roguelike gameplay there. It's just a fantastic game from front to back. I loved it. And after this game came out and people were talking all about it, there was the talk of, okay, is Sony going to acquire Housemarque? When are they going to do it? So it's awesome that they finally did it. They scooped them up. And after this came out, in the days following it, Housemarque kind of did say, hey, there were other big companies that were looking to acquire us. And, the usual players. They didn't say specifically who the usual players were, but they were saying, hey, the usual players. So that kind of lead people to believe, okay, so Microsoft, Tencent probably, Embracer Group was probably looking to acquire them, but they went with PlayStation. So good for Housemarque, good for PlayStation. You got another great team there. And I mean, they're basically, again, this is one of those where they were like, when are they going to do it? Because Housemarque and PlayStation have had such like a relationship over the past generation or two. With, again, Superstardust HD, Dead Nation. You had Resogun at the launch of the PS4 that was highly critically acclaimed and considered, one of the best PlayStation 4 launch titles to have, to play, to own. So, Housemarque and PlayStation, they've had a great relationship. It's one of those things where it's like, we've been in the talking stage for a while. Let's just put a ring on it at this point in time. And yeah, it's great for them. 100% great for both parties. Now, the second acquisition that Sony made was out of left field entirely. No one expected this one. And this acquisition was of Nixxes. So for those of you who do not know, Nixxes is a development team that specializes in ports and optimization. And when it comes to ports, specifically PC ports. So you can kind of see why Sony might have acquired them. So on Nixxes' website, they put up a statement here announcing the acquisition. And Herman Holtz here, he says, quote, "I highly respect Nixxes and am excited for this very experienced team to become part of the world-class development community at SIE. They have a passion for improving games and for delivering the best possible experience for gamers. Nixxes will be a strong asset to everyone across PlayStation Studios, helping our teams focus on their most important goal, which is to create unique PlayStation content at the best possible quality," end quote. And then the founder and senior director of development at Nixxes, Jurgen Katzmann, had something to say about it. He says here, quote, "We can't wait to get to work and are so excited to bring our technical and development expertise to an IP powerhouse like PlayStation Studios. We're looking forward to working with them. We're looking forward to working with some of the most talented teams in the industry to deliver the highest quality gameplay experiences for PlayStation fans," end quote. This is and like I said, it's an acquisition that no one expected at all. No one saw this coming. This would never have been an acquisition that anyone would have predicted Sony would make. But when you look at what they're known for, which is, again, their porting and their optimization jobs that they've been doing. And again, specifically, they've done great PC ports for Square Enix. On their website, they have the rebooted Tomb Raider trilogy. They've done the PC ports for those games. They did the PC port for Marvel's Avengers. They did the PC port for, I believe it's Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And each of the PC ports were, really well received and all like that. They were good jobs. So Sony acquiring them, it makes sense given that Sony is looking to bring more of its games to PC. We had Days Gone this year already get ported. Last year it was Horizon Zero Dawn. Before that it was Death Stranding. Granted, Death Stranding not a strictly first party game, but made hand in hand with Sony, even though the PC publisher was 505 Games, different publisher entirely, but still in the same realm. But you get what I'm going for here. It makes sense that they want to have a team that is good, that is known for doing good PC ports, to help either basically have them make the PC ports or help the dev teams at PlayStation Studios work on the PC ports. That way it could help the first party teams at PlayStation free up some of their resources so that they can more so focus on whatever their next project is, as opposed to having to dedicate a good amount of manpower to the PC port of a game and kind of be split in terms of where their focus is. So this is it's a great acquisition from that perspective. It makes total sense, and I think it solidifies that we're going to be seeing a lot more PC ports for PlayStation in the coming I'm not just in the coming years. I mean, they've already said that, but I'll say in the near future, I think they're going to start taking it more seriously. Do I think this means that we'll be getting PC ports of games day one, same day and date that they'll release on PlayStation? No, I don't think so. I mean, Sony has already said that they're not going to be doing that anytime soon, that they still intend to have PlayStation be the best place to play their games. So I don't think we'll be seeing day and date PC releases. But I think right now what we might see is some more of the PS4 games get ported over to PC. And then maybe for the PS5 games that are coming out, the newer ones that come out, perhaps we can see them get ported over to PC maybe a year after release or a year and a half, maybe, not without so much time between the original release and the PC release. Maybe that's what we could see. I'm not quite sure. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with this and how they end up working together and all. And I'm sure they'll also, again, just help out on the optimization side, helping the teams, make their games work and run the best they possibly can and all that. But this is exciting. This is cool for them. Cool for Nixes. Cool for Sony for their future plans, and definitely looking forward to seeing what they do next. Now, the third acquisition has not actually been made yet, but it was one that was possibly leaked. When the Housemarque acquisition was announced, Sony put out a picture. It said PlayStation Housemarque. It said welcome to the family. Same thing with Nixes. But when the Housemarque one got announced, the Sony Japan Twitter account accidentally put up a picture that said Sony and Bluepoint Games instead of Sony and Housemarque. But then they deleted it. So this has led people to believe, like, okay, are they actually acquiring Bluepoint Games? And if so, when are we going to hear about this? And if this is true, it makes so much sense. And this is one that everyone has been expecting and basically saying, hey, Sony, do this for the longest time. Because Sony and Bluepoint, they worked on, if I'm correct, the Nathan Drake collection. They did the Shadow of the Colossus remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it, back in 2018, I believe is when it came out. It's tough for me to remember. I'm pretty sure it's 2018 when that came out. They did the PS4 version. The PS4 version of Shadow of the Colossus, they did that. And after that, people were like, oh man, this is great. Bluepoint's fantastic and all. And then they just recently did Demon Souls for the PS5. So especially after that, people were saying, hey, Sony, when are you going to acquire Bluepoint? You should basically acquire Bluepoint. It's a match made in heaven. You guys have been working together. You have this great relationship. Just do it already. So that leaked, and it is possibly true. We don't have any official confirmation from Sony or Bluepoint on this at all. No word from them. But, I mean, if it's true, it makes all the sense yet again. And it would be a fantastic addition to Sony's first-party studio set of developers and all like that. We gotta wait and see what happens with that, though. I thought that we would have heard about it by the end of this past week, but we didn't. So who knows when we'll hear more about this? Maybe it's something where they're still kind of, they prepped the picture, but the deal isn't done yet or anything like that. Who knows? But I'm definitely looking forward to getting that official announcement that yes, they are part of the PlayStation Studios first party team, and we can just keep it moving from there, keep it going. So that's going to be our first bit of positive Sony news. Now we're going to get into the negative Sony news, which it's not that good, to be honest. So this week, Sony has kind of found themselves in hot water with indie developers and publishers. And it all started with a Twitter thread by Ian Garner, in which he called out Sony. He didn't call them out by name. He referred to them as Platform X, but he made it clear that he was not talking about Xbox, because he said it was a platform that does not support Game Pass. And he also kind of made it clear, like in some of his other tweets, that it wasn't Nintendo either, or he made it clear it wasn't Nintendo. I'm pretty sure he said it was like a console developer. So he called it Platform X. He basically decried the way that they treat indie developers. And then this led to other developers joining in the conversation to share their experiences with Platform X, which is Sony. Like, these developers and publishers, they talked to multiple different outlets, and some of them put up graphs in which they labeled the different platforms with code names, and the code names made it clear who they were talking about, although they did refer to them by actual name. But the overall message was that Sony is doing a very poor job with indies and their treatment of indies. So there was an article that IGN put out, and it's titled "Why Indie Publishers Are Fed Up with PlayStation." It is by Rebecca Valentine, and she did a great job here reporting on the entire situation, talking with developers and publishers, getting their perspectives on things, getting the whole story. did a great job with it. So definitely go read this article. But the summation of it is that there are 4 real issues that developers and publishers, indie developers and publishers specifically, have with PlayStation and the way that they're treating them. That being frustrating bureaucracy. Frustrating bureaucracy, lack of communication, limitations on how and when games can be put on sale, and then last but not least, discoverability issues. So we're gonna go down this one by one. So starting with the bureaucracy issue. I have some quotes here. I'm not reading everything verbatim from her article because it is very dense. So I've tried to parse it out in ways where it's like a summation of that topic and then go from there for the discussion. So again, I definitely highly encourage you to please go read her article for, the full story, all the quotes, everything, the whole shebang. And others around the internet as well. I know Kotaku has something about it. People across the internet have been doing stuff. Go read the threads online, all that jazz. But I'm just reading from Rebecca Valentine's article on IGN because it's a great summation of everything. So, starting with the frustrating bureaucracy. The publishers, they point out numerous amounts of paperwork that have to be filled out in order for stuff to go on with their games on the PlayStation Store. And it's like with all this paperwork, they often have to do this without any kind of help or support. It could be that makes it really frustrating and annoying and slow going to get things done. So David Logan, the CEO of Annapurna Games, he kind of offered an explanation for this, and he talked to Rebecca over there at IGN, and she says here, he told me that the main reason Sony's processes for game submissions were more involved than others had to do with submitting products based on region, something the company had done throughout the PS4 era. So, for worldwide launches, games had to go through separate submission processes for Sony America, Europe, Japan, and Asia, with Japan and Asia having their own portals and processes that required translation from Japanese to move through. But, so there's that. And he does say that Sony has started to become better with this in the past year, but they still need a lot of work. And he says here, quote, parts of the process change on an almost weekly basis, and it oftentimes needs to involve multiple reps, support tickets, and parts of the back end, which is still split into 2 different pipelines to make movement on specific issues. We've been blocked by Sony directly on things like updating ratings, terminology, usage, trophy visibility, and patch review, all within the last few months. However, my team does recognize the active changes and streamlining Sony is heading towards, though there are instances where we wish it was similar to the pipeline we had grown accustomed to over the past few years, end quote. So, right off the bat, it's not pleasant, it's not easy, I guess, I don't want to say simple, because, again, I'm not an indie developer, not a game developer, period, or a publisher. I don't know anybody who is. I don't know that side, the behind the scenes work of how this all goes. So I'm not trying to speak from a place of authority on it or anything like that. But it seems like the process is nowhere near as simple or streamlined or smooth or easy as it should be. And there is some reasoning for it, but it seems like Sony is just behind the times on this, and they need to catch up to the times. They need to be more available to developers and publishers. They need to have more people there and actually be able to help them out, to be able to give them that support that they need and all, and not just kind of say, okay, do this, and then just disappear. And the thing that they want you to do has 20 different steps to it with 5 different subsections for each step, and then 13 little amendments. You get what I mean? It just seems it's really complicated and more not nuanced, but more intricate than it needs to be or than it should be. And while it seems like Sony is working to try and make this better, and streamline it, they're taking such a long time to do it that it's not helpful at all. They need to get more on the ball with it. And then this goes into the lack of communication with some of the developers and publishers, saying that sometimes they get quick responses from Sony, but other times they could end up waiting months for issues, to get some assistance with issues. One of the times here, I'm looking at it, I'm trying to find out where it is specifically. Yeah, here in Rebecca's article, Logan said that, I'm reading here directly from her article. She says here, Logan said he had a support ticket open with Sony for 9 months, which his company pings monthly trying to get assistance. Christian Botea, project manager at Those Awesome Guys, said that while sometimes you might get a fast reply from Sony to help resolve an issue, quote, sometimes you might be waiting a month for a reply to something simple. A lot of the time, that reply feels like something that could have been somehow integrated in the documentation in a better way, or better integrated and streamlined in the publishing process, end quote. So again, it just goes back to Sony just being behind the times, not updating their processes, not making this easy for developers and publishers, I don't know if it's that they're like lacking the people to make this, to give this stuff more attention, or I'm not sure what the issue is behind the scenes, but they're just not doing it. They're not living up to the expectations and the desires of these indie devs and publishers. And that's what, like, in a space where indie developers and publishers already have to fight real hard for attention from gamers across the spectrum, whether it be gamers that are mainly in the indie scene who might be interested in all these different indie developers and publishers, or people who are more so mainstream gamers who focus more so on the big publishers, the big AAA games and stuff, trying to get attention from those people. They're already fighting for attention from all these people. Why are they trying to fight for attention from Sony just for help to get their game out there, to get assistance with issues with their game and all? They shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be a fight with them to get Sony's attention. And Sony just needs to work on it. They need to make it better. It's a shame that it's as troubling and difficult as it is. But with the lack of communication, going deeper into it here, some of the publishers and developers said that things could be made more manageable with the assistance of an account manager, who Rebecca defines as basically a contact person for a publisher at the company who can help answer questions. But there, apparently, according to the people that she talked to, there was never a clear way on how to get one. And some of the bigger, more established studios have contacts at the storefronts, making it easy for them to, get in touch with Sony and have issues taken care of relatively quickly. But for smaller indie devs and publishers, they just have a tougher time because they either don't have an account manager, or they just can't they're just having trouble getting an account manager. It's not easy. It's needlessly complicated and difficult, it seems like. One anonymous developer or publisher who spoke to Rebecca, he said he saw it, they saw it as a, quote, one-way partnership. They said, quote, I felt like if you weren't the big names, you were just there plugging away with minimal support until you eventually shipped your title. Best way I can put it is that I was thrown to the wolves and told survive, which I did by trial and error every day, end quote. And again, like I said before, I'm not a developer, I'm not a publisher, I don't know anyone on that side, but this is not how you should treat indie developers. It just shouldn't be. They're already, again, like I said before, they're already trying to survive and get their name out there and get the attention of anyone and everyone that they can. And they should be getting as much support as possible from the platform holder, whether that be Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Valve, Epic, CD Projekt with GOG and all like that. They should be getting as much support as possible to get their game on a platform, get their game assistance, whether it comes to, ratings, patches, so on and so forth. It should be getting as much help as possible from them. They shouldn't be getting treated as, I guess you could say, second-class citizens, or just like the undesirables, because they're not your Activisions, your 2Ks, your EAs, the ones who will bring in all this money and stuff for you. They shouldn't be treated like that. You should be treating them with open arms and trying your best to give them a welcome home, a welcome place to work and have their games be platformed and hosted and all, so on and so forth. So what we're getting here from everything that the devs and publishers have said over the past couple days, the past week, what have you, it definitely does come off as like a kind of like a one-way partnership in a sense, where it's like, yeah, we'll put this on the store for you, but good luck doing everything else yourself. Good luck, getting it out, getting the name out there for you, getting your game's name out there, getting people interested in your game, getting people to see your game. Good luck with all that stuff. And it's a shame. It's a shame for real. So going on to the next aspect of this is the limitations on how and when games can be put on sale. So again, going back to the original thread by Ian Garner, I believe I pronounced his first name right because it's spelled Ian. I'm saying Ian. I think that's how it's said. According to him, in his thread, he said that discounts were, quote, invite only and also very limited, end quote. So according to him, in this thread here, publishers can only have sales for their games when Sony invites them to. If Sony doesn't invite you to have a sale for your game, you can't do it. So say, for example, I wanted to have a sale for my game. What's today? July 4th. Say I wanted to have a 4th of July sale for my game go on from the 5th. From like July 2nd to July 6th. Say I want to do that. Say a sale like that. I can't just do that on my own if I want to. I can't just drop the price to what I want to. I can only do a sale if Sony says, hey, we're doing a 4th of July sale. Would you like to be a part of this sale weekend? Cool. And it's just like, really? That's really restricting. That's not playing nice. Why should I be limited to doing it only when you say I can do it? But it does get a bit worse though when with some bit more information here, where Matthew White, with the CEO of Whitehorn Digital, he was speaking to Rebecca Valentine, and in her article she says here that Matthew White, CEO of Whitehorn Digital, told me that PlayStation sets the discount with publishers able to agree or make a counter offer, but timing and rate are ultimately dictated by the platform. And again, like I just said, why are the publishers of the games not able to decide how much they want to drive the price to? Why are they not able to choose when they want to do it? Why is it that Sony says, hey, would you come join? You can be part of our sale that we're going to do here, and you can drop your price down to this much. And yes, publishers are able to make counter offers or agree, and I'm sure Sony agrees to counter offers and everything like that. But why is the sale price kind of dictated by what Sony says it can be or has to be? Why are the publishers not able to, make the pricing whatever they choose for it to be? It's their game after all. And I understand, so it is Sony's platform. Sony can do what they want on their platform. But it all comes back to, yet again, just playing nice with indie developers. You want indie developers to, again, just feel comfortable on your platform. Make it a platform where they say this is a place where we can thrive, where we can put our games here and our games will do well or relatively well here. We feel respected here on PlayStation. Hey, more other indie devs, come over here on PlayStation. You'll get treated well over here. And doing things like this where you're making it where it's needlessly difficult because of the different levels of stuff you got to go through with paperwork and stuff to get stuff going on with your games. The real lack of communication when it comes to trying to get in contact with people over at PlayStation about stuff going on with your game. When it comes to the sales and just, hey, you can't do a sale unless we say you can do a sale. You can't drop your price unless you can't do anything with your pricing unless we say it could be this specific price. It's this price. No, you want to do a counter price. Do we agree on that? Cool. Okay. You can't just decide, oh, I want to drop my game down from $20 to $5. Sony has to say, yes, you could do that. It just seems really controlling and restrictive and just not okay, not developer friendly, I should say, not developer or publisher friendly, I could say. And according to the other people that Rebecca talked to, Sony's the only platform that handles discounts like this. Other platforms, they allow publishers to do discounts whenever and however they like, with a handful of exceptions, with some exceptions. So because Sony's the only one that handles it like this, it just makes it even worse. It makes them stick out even more like a sore thumb as opposed to everyone else. So there's that level of it. And then there's finally the level where we get to discoverability and finding games, making it easy, or I guess not necessarily easy, might not be the right word right here, but making it so that people can find their games, find indie games, and see them with as little trouble and hassle as possible. So going back again to the original thread, Ian Garner, he called out a $25,000 fee that he was told he would have to pay in order for his game to be advertised on the front page of the PlayStation Store. Other publishers that IGN spoke to, they had not heard of this fee, but they confirmed that, we would not be able to pay that. We ever heard of that, but we wouldn't be able to pay that. So again, speaking to IGN and Rebecca Valentine, David Logan here, Rebecca says, David Logan suggested that for smaller developers, that price point could, quote, amount to the entire lifetime sales of the title. This is an amount greater than or equal to some indie developers' entire marketing budget. That price tag definitely excludes most smaller and mid-sized developers and publishers from consideration, end quote. Now, another anonymous developer said that they could understand that amount, but they can understand that amount, the $25,000, because it is advertising on the front page of the PlayStation Store. That's a big spot. That's an important spot for any game to be in. So he could understand. They could understand that price, but that it was unreasonable. So they go on to explain why they think it's unreasonable. They go here saying, quote, it's unreasonable because you have no idea if that $25,000 advertisement will make you that money back. $25,000 was mentioned and talked about, but there are spots well over $100,000 for features. No smaller indie or small game is ever seen that front page. So that's why you will always see 5 to 6 major game studios on that front page. If an indie was to ever feature up there, it would be monumental and celebrated, to say the least. End quote. And then Rebecca points to a Kotaku article, a Kotaku report, about this whole situation, in which Kotaku notes that this amount could be, the feature amount for the front page could be as much as $200,000, and also that Microsoft has a similar payment scheme on the Xbox Store. So it's not like Sony's the only one that says you have to pay to be on the front page. Microsoft does it as well. And then in Rebecca's article, she also heard that sometimes Sony will feature games of their own accord, based on internal reviews that they do to see how well they think the game will perform and do, and so on and so forth. So with this discoverability stuff, as I've kind of already said a couple times, indie games and publishers and developers, one of their biggest issues is making their games known, making them seen by as many people as possible. And if they can't get their game seen by people, how are people going to know about their game? It could be a game of the year caliber game, but if no one sees it, if no one finds it, if no one knows about it, how are people going to play it? How are people going to be out there, going to bat for it and all like that? So the $25,000 fee for the front page, like that anonymous dev said, I understand that price. It is the front page of the store. That's important space. That's really important space. Just like the front of a newspaper or the first few pages of a newspaper. Those spaces are crucially important spaces, and you have to be real selective of what you put there. Same, specifically with advertisements that you have in newspapers and magazines. Those where they're placed in the newspaper magazine. It's important spacing. So yeah, I'm sure that there's a fee behind it. So there's $25,000. I can understand that. For indie developers, I'm sure there's a really, really high price for the front page. I don't think that any developer or publisher would have to pay like up to $200,000 for a feature spot, or like $100,000. I would hope that they specifically wouldn't have to, but perhaps when they say the $200,000 or the $100,000 spots for features is probably like where on the PlayStation Store. So maybe like the very first page, it might be $200,000 or $100,000 or something like that. Like maybe a certain category, a certain column on the first page might be one price as opposed to another. All that being said, though, it's definitely unreasonable when you're looking at it for indie devs and publishers, because that's just a lot of money. That's a lot of money, and like one of them said, David Logan, like he said, that could definitely be way more than smaller indie studios can even afford to spend on advertising, when they may not even get that money back. They may not see a fraction of that money come back in from spending it on that one feature spot, on that advertising spot. It's a shame, and like I don't know necessarily like if they should lower the price for indies. I'm not sure. Maybe what they can do is have a category on the first page that is indie, and the indie category on the first page for the PlayStation Store will have will cost less money, and if you want to be on the featured page, then it will cost more, something like that. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the answers to all this. I just don't. It's just an idea. But this again, it just goes into the fact that Sony, they're not the most friendly. They're not being the most helpful or dev and publisher friendly when it comes to indies. Which again, I keep saying it, and it's a shame. So the overall takeaway from this that I feel is that Sony needs to do better. Sony just straight up needs to do better when it comes to their treatment of indies and how they assist them, how they work with them, so on and so forth. And I like this quote here from Christian Botea, the project manager at Those Awesome Guys, that he said to Rebecca Valentine, kind of like talking about what Sony can do in the future. And he says here, quote, "We, the indies, ultimately just want PlayStation to be a more welcoming platform for us. Listen to our concerns and feedback, and allow for indies to thrive as well on the platform. Hoping that this grabs their attention in all the right ways, and we can start on a constructive path to fixing this," end quote. And honestly, I think that is the perfect summation of the situation, of what needs to be done. Sony just needs to be better. They need to be, like I've been saying this whole time, they need to make the platform more welcoming, and they haven't been. It's right now, it seems like more going along what we heard a couple months ago, or the Bloomberg article, the Bloomberg report, that Sony was doubling down and focusing more so on blockbusters as opposed to smaller titles. And that was more in-house that we heard about from the PlayStation Studios side of things. It seems like this is also kind of bleeding into how they approach indies as well. I mean, yes, we've seen games like Sifu, Solar Ash, Stray, Kena, Bridge of Spirits, those indie games get the spotlight in PlayStation showcases, and that's great. That's amazing. That's fantastic. But it seems like those are more so the outliers. They're more so the exceptions, not the rule. And it seems like the rule is you're kind of down in the dirt, and you have to fight and crawl and claw your way up to even get a bit of attention, a bit of love, acknowledgement from Sony, and assistance from Sony in terms of getting your game out there and getting some type of attention for it, getting eyes on it in any way, shape, or form. And that's not how it should be. Now, that's not for me. I'm not saying that every single indie game would get like, all types of, like, if Sony changed their ways, that every indie game on the platform would do amazingly well. That's not what I'm saying at all. I know that's just not realistic. Some indie games are just going to do way better than others, even if they have all the eyes in the world on them. It's kind of just the way the world is, the kind of way the gaming industry is. When you have all types of indie games coming out all the time, it's just kind of how it is. But if they made their platform better, if they worked to improve the way they treat and approach indies, then it could be better. Then everybody could thrive. Everybody could feel the positivity, there's a word I'm looking for, but the better aspect of it. Everybody could win in some capacity, in some way, shape, or form on the indie side of things. And in recent years, Sony did appoint Shuhei Yoshida to be the head of PlayStation Indies, the indie initiative over there. So that he's been over there. Sometimes we'll have, every now and then, they'll do like a blog post where, like, hey, throughout the day we're going to highlight 7 indie games, keep an eye on them. And in Rebecca's article, she did kind of talk about that, how some of the publishers have said that, the blog process, that's an easier process. Does it help much? Not really. But I mean, it's an easier process to go through. So I mean, Shuhei's over there doing stuff. And then they also kind of I forgot who it was in the article, but someone kind of pointed out that, hey, I think his name was Greg Rice over there at PlayStation with the indies. Like, he's a great help. He's a great guy and all. But as a whole, PlayStation needs to do more and they need to do better. And I 100% agree. They just do. I like PlayStation. PlayStation's great. It's awesome. I like their games and all like that. But they need to definitely uplift and support indie developers and publishers way more than they have recently. It's just that simple, point blank, period. Simple as that. I don't have much more else to say about this, really. I know that, in the article, there's some people also said that it's just because Sony is the one that's getting all the, I guess, hatred and anger right now. That's not to say that things are smooth, like sailing rainbows of sunshine on other platforms, like Nintendo and Microsoft and Steam and so on and so forth. Everyone has all their different issues, and some issues all the platforms share as a whole. It's just that PlayStation and Sony is just where it's just the worst for many of them. And, a lot of them, that's where, like, their sales are just the worst over on PlayStation as opposed to any other platform. Because due in part to all these different issues that Sony has with their indies. So Sony, you just gotta do better. It's as simple as that. You have to give the same attention and love that you do to your first parties and the big games and big name titles. You need to give that same love and attention to the indies. Give them a place where they can thrive. Give them a place that's welcoming, and show them that, hey, we do love you guys. We do want you all on our platform. We do care about you guys. We're sorry that we haven't given you that attention and assistance and place to do your best that we should have been giving you all this time. And we're going to do better. We will do better and actually do better. So that's all I gotta say about that. Simple as that. Just do better. But moving on now from the negative Sony news, we're going to end down the Sony news with a bit of positive Sony news. That being the announcement of the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. It was kind of leaked prior to its announcement, but it's officially real. It's officially a thing. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is coming to PS4 and PS5 on August 20th. So what is Director's Cut? Director's Cut is essentially kind of like a Game of the Year edition. So it's going to have every piece of content that's ever come out for the game, but it will also have a brand new chapter expansion for the game that'll take Jin to Iki Island. He hears about rumors of Mongols being on the island. So, okay, hold on. My apologies. Someone just came by driving down the block, blasting music super loud out their car, causing all these cars to like vibrate and have their alarms go off because the music was blasting so loud. So I apologize if you hear that in the background right now. I'm trying to just wait them out a second. Okay, they're done for the most part. So, what was I saying? Ghost of Tsushima, Director's Cut. It adds a whole new chapter. Takes Jin to Iki Island, where he hears about there's rumors of Mongols on the island, so he goes there, and he ends up getting caught up in some events that are like really personal for him. So it's gonna be a really interesting story, it seems like. And it's a whole new island, whole new environment, new characters, new story. There's new armor for Jin and his horse, new mini games, techniques, enemies, and more stuff. It looks really cool, and the director's cut will also have new trophies for the Iki Island content as well. On PS5, for the director's cut, it will feature some specific features for PS5 itself. So one of those being Japanese lip sync in the original Ghost of Tsushima. You could do the Japanese voiceover, but the lips were still the English voices. So now on PS5, Sucker Punch attributes it to the PS5's ability to render cinematics in real time. Cutscenes in Ghost of Tsushima and on Iki Island will have lip sync for the Japanese voiceover, which is cool. And Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and the Iki Island stuff will all take advantage of the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that the DualSense has for the director's cut. And the PS5 will also have 3D audio enhancements. It'll have much better load times, which is crazy to think, because even on PS4 Pro, the load times were insanely fast, like no more than 5 seconds, to be honest. So it's crazy to think just how much faster it'll be on PS5 with director's cut. 4K resolution options and frame rates targeting 60 FPS. This is very cool. You will be able to transfer your save from PS4 to PS5 to pick up where you left off, so that's cool. And if you are just now starting the game, the Iki Island content was going to be available once you reach Act 2 of the game. I'm not going to spoil what that means, but once you reach Act 2, then you can access the Iki Island stuff, which is awesome. So, they also did say that there's going to be a patch, an update that comes out for the game alongside the director's cut. So it's not director's cut specific, but this patch is going to have a couple different new features, such as accessibility options for alternate controller layouts. You'll be able to do target lock during campaign, and you will also be able to hide your quiver during gameplay if you hate seeing it when you're running around. Ghost of Tsushima Legends will also be getting some new updates as well, including a new mode, but Sucker Punch is going to detail that later. And of course, any updates that come to Legends will be available at no additional charge to owners of any version of Ghost of Tsushima. So you can pre-order the game. There's a bunch of different things you get if you pre-order it. I'm not going to list them all. It's a whole lot of stuff here. But here's where things get a tad confusing. I'll explain it as best I can. The pricing. So, the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. I blanked the name of it for a second there. So, on PS4, it is going to cost... Hold on. Here we go. On PS4, director's cut will cost $60. On PS5, it will cost $70. Now, if you already have Ghost of Tsushima on PS4, you can pre-order an upgrade to the PS4 version of Director's Cut for $20. And this upgrade will become available starting on August 20th. But you can pre-order the upgrade now. Once we hit August 20th, if you have bought the PS4 version of Director's Cut, you can upgrade to the PS5 version of Director's Cut for $10. Or you can upgrade directly from the original PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima to the Director's Cut PS5 version for $30. Let me. Does that make any sense? I'm going to say this one more time. If you have the PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima, you can pre-order an upgrade to the PS4 version of Director's Cut for $20. You could do that now. Once we hit August 20th, the day the Director's Cut comes out, if you have the PS4 version of Director's Cut, you can upgrade to the PS5 version of Director's Cut for $10. If you do not have the PS4 version of Director's Cut and only have the original PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima, you can upgrade to the PS5 version of Director's Cut for $30. It's a bit confusing, but once you make sense of it, it actually makes sense. All that being said, though, this is super cool. Ghost of Tsushima was an amazing game when it came out last year. I absolutely loved it. It was gorgeous, drop dead beautiful, a whole lot of fun. The story was intriguing and compelling and just really interesting. I love the characters. Any excuse to go back to that game, I'm all in for, especially if we're getting new content too. I'm very excited to play this on my PS5 and just relish everything about that game. It's such a good game. So this is awesome. That's really cool. And that will round out our PlayStation news. It's a lot of PlayStation news today. Talked about it for a very long time. But now we're going to get into two more smaller stories, which we honestly will not talk about for very long at all. The first of which being that we got some more news about the Dead Space game that's coming up. And this comes from GamesBeat, article by Jeff Grubb, saying that a Dead Space remake is in the works at Motive. So, it says here, Electronic Arts has Star Wars Battlefront 2 co-developer Motive working on a new Dead Space game. Eurogamer and Gamatsu first reported the existence of the game, and GamesBeat can confirm parts of what each outlet has heard. While a new Dead Space is coming, Motive is rebooting the franchise with a full-fledged remake. He reached out to EA for comment, but he said he'll update the article once he got any response from EA. And then he adds here, for its Dead Space game, Motive is taking notes from Capcom's recent Resident Evil remakes. Like Resident Evil 2 Remake, expect the next Dead Space to use the original game as a strong foundation. But it should also have modern visuals, and it will likely bring in new gameplay mechanics inspired by other entries in the franchise. So, and also he says here, speaking of Capcom, it is likely a major reason a new Dead Space is happening. While EA has let its horror franchise wither, the Resident Evil series is larger than ever, and Capcom has provided an easy blueprint for EA to follow. Now, like I said last week when we talked about this in the brief mentions, I've never played any of the Dead Space games, aside from like a demo of 3. I saw my cousin play some of 2. They just weren't my jam back in the day. Why did I say it like that? Back in the day. But nowadays, I think I'd be more willing to give it a shot, give it a go. So I think that doing a remake of the first game, I don't know if I would have done a remake of the first game, but it makes a lot of sense. Given the reception to 3, after 3 came out, 3 was kind of like, people weren't really fond of it. It was like way more action focused than survival horror focused. I had the co-op in the game, and it seemed like 3 kind of like took the series away from what people loved about Dead Space, which was the claustrophobic environments, the survival horror, like really fighting for your life, trying to get through. So I think remaking the first game might be the way to go on this. Like remake the first game, and then if you want to go somewhere new with the story, go somewhere new with the story afterwards, but remake the first game, the one that people really truly love. I think that honestly might be the way to go about this. So I'm excited to see what this looks like with better visuals, what new gameplay mechanics they introduce into the original game from later entries, how it all plays out, how it shakes out. It should be really exciting, and I anticipate we'll see this. We'll be seeing this during EA Play sometime later on this month. So that's exciting. Keep your eyes and ears out for that one. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this ends up looking like. And then the final news story for this week is going to be about this Control multiplayer spinoff and other games that Remedy has in the works. So, bringing this IGN article here by Joseph Knoop saying Control multiplayer spinoff announced, more Control games in the works. So Remedy announced earlier last week, that they were going to be doing some spinoffs, some other stuff in the Control universe. And Joseph's article here, he says the spinoff, codenamed Condor, will be a 4-player co-op players versus environment game. Furthermore, it will be developed using Remedy's proprietary Northlight engine, which Remedy used to develop Control. In a press release, Remedy says it has agreed to co-publish and develop Condor with 505 Games, who previously worked with Remedy to publish Control in 2019. 505 Games has also published recent games like Ghost Runner, Death Stranding's PC port, and Journey to the Savage Planet. And then moving on a little bit farther down, finally, Remedy and 505 snuck in that they've also made high-level plans for a new, bigger budget game set in the Control universe. This means Remedy is currently working on 6 games, including 2 set in the Control/Alan Wake universe, and an unrevealed free-to-play co-op game named Vanguard. So this is all very interesting. A new, bigger budget game set in the Control universe that might not be like a direct Control sequel, but something in that universe makes sense given the way that Remedy's kind of been building out the universe. They have Alan Wake involved in it now. It's clear they have bigger plans for it, which is very cool. But the 4player PvE multiplayer game is something I never would have expected. Interesting that they're going with the standard or generic, depending on how you want to look at it, 4-player versus enemy type of multiplayer model type game. Really interested in seeing what that could be. I have yet to play Control yet, so I'm not sure what it would be. But this is really interesting. I wonder when we'll see stuff of it and hear more about it. I imagine probably not for a while, since it seems like this is like super early in development. But I wonder what people who play Control or like Control think of this. I definitely want to ask Keiran about it next week or at some point in time, just get his thoughts on this, because this just seems really out of left field. Again, I have no idea what this would end up being like and all. Do I wish it was not a 4-player PvE type multiplayer game? I guess, yeah, but maybe only because there's so many of them that we know of that are coming in the near future. Not to say there's anything bad about that type of game. It's just that we know of a lot coming in the next year. I imagine this is coming out in the next year, probably another 2-3 years down the line, but still, it's something. It's interesting, to say the least. And I definitely wonder what this is going to end up being once it eventually comes out. So, as always, we will have to wait and see. Now, we're going to wrap this up with just what I've been playing. Not what we've been playing, what I've been playing. This is just me this week. We're not going to do a question of the episode this week, because I feel like, we're kind of going for a bit now with just one person here. I also didn't have a question for this week. Any question that I would have had, honestly, would have been about the indie situation. And, yeah, just no question of the episode this week. We're just going to wrap this up with what I've been playing. So I've been playing 2 games this week, and I'll talk about the first one, that being Ratchet Clank Rift Apart, because I already mentioned that earlier this week. Not earlier this week, earlier in the episode, sorry. Ratchet Clank Rift Apart. That game is a lot of fun. Now, funny enough, I've only played 3 Ratchet and Clank games, including this one. When I say played, I mean ones that I myself have owned. Those being Going Commando on the PS2, and then the 2016 remake of the original game that was based off the movie. And I really liked them. I really enjoyed them. Going Commando, in fact, I replayed that game so many times. I did one playthrough, then did the challenge mode to, fully level up the weapons, and did challenge mode again. I did New Game Plus a couple times on that over and over and over again, just to get just to see how fast I can get through it and get my weapons to be as backed up as they possibly could. The game was a whole lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the 2016 game too. It was a great game. Really enjoyed it. That being said, the only other one I've played was Up Your Arsenal, but I was just the multiplayer mode that I did with my cousin at his house because he had the game. Other than that, I've never really played any other Ratchet Clank games. I had a PS3, but I don't know why I just didn't play the ones that came out on the PS3. Not sure why I didn't. But I've always had a soft spot for it, even though Jak and Daxter was definitely my favorite of the PS2 action platform games and all. But Ratchet Clank has always had a soft spot in my heart. It's always been great. The characters have always been awesome. The humor has always been there. The weapons have always been so cool and creative. And this game, Rift Apart, it's kind of going back home. I don't want to say going back home. It's a nice return to the series. And it's going back to the series, and they've grown up. The story itself, it's more, the humor is still there, but there's so much more heart and emotion and thoughtfulness behind it and care put into it that I'm really invested and the characters and story, and like, you know, what's going on with Ratchet, what he's feeling, what's going on with Rivet, what's she feeling, with Clank, what he's, you know, feeling and dealing with and all like that. So it's on that level, like it's just grown up. It's more mature, but it's still Ratchet and Clank at its core and at its heart. Same with the like the set pieces. Like, of course, obviously we could have set pieces like this back on the PS2, but oh my gosh, just like the set pieces in this game are just really crazy. The action's just way more, you know, high production, high level than what we've ever seen in a Ratchet and Clank game, or from what I've ever seen in a Ratchet and Clank game. And definitely feels like Insomniac has used what they learned from Spider-Man. And I guess Sunset Overdrive. I never played Sunset Overdrive, but, you know, Spider-Man specifically. And so, like, the set pieces and how they worked in that game, and just, like, applied it here with Ratchet and Clank. Because, again, the set pieces here, just, like, the action, it's just on another level for what a Ratchet and Clank game has been. It's really cool. I'm trying not to get too specific with stuff, because I do plan to do a review for the game, like I said. Hopefully it'll be out this Friday. Fingers crossed. Not guaranteeing anything on that one. But yeah, it's so much fun. The weapons, I've been enjoying the weapons a whole lot. They're really, again, it's Insomniac, and they're always really creative with the weapons. I really like the what's it called? I think it's called the topiary sprinkler, where like you toss it down, and then like the sprinkler shoots water on like a target, and then like they get covered in plants and leaves and everything, and they're just like frozen there. It's so cool. I like using that one. There's the lightning rod, which like you kind of shoot it, and then like it arcs electricity on anybody that's nearby it. The weapons in the game, they're really cool. They're really creative. I really like them, and I enjoy them. And they take advantage of the DualSense, where, you know, when you're playing, you can do L2 to aim, like to do like an actual like kind of aim down sight type thing. But R2, for many of them, like if you do R2 halfway, it'll do one function. If you pull it down all the way, it does another function. So like for your main pistol, if you just hold it down halfway, it does single fire shots, pow, 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 pow. But if you hold it down all the way, it does rapid fire, pow, 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 pow. There's another one where it's the oh gosh, what is it? I forgot what the gun is called, but it's like it has a shield. It has a shield that you kind of goes up in front of you. So if you hold it down halfway, the shield comes up and like protects you from anything that could be hitting you. Once you press it down all the way, it like the shield lets out a burst of energy hitting anybody that's in front of you. There's a shotgun that you have. I forgot again what it's called. If you hold it down halfway, if you press it down halfway, it just shoots off one of the barrels. But if you do it down, push it down all the way, it does both barrels at the same time for, you know, more damage and all. It's really cool. It's really unique, like the way that they've been using the adaptive triggers with the DualSense. The haptics in it are cool as well. You know, when the Ratchet's running, you feel like the haptics, the vibration in each switch size as each foot hits the ground. I'm just like, it's a little neat touches like that I think are really cool. Of course, the game looks gorgeous. If you watch any footage of the game, it looks absolutely amazing. I don't have any footage here going right now just because I have not had the time to try and edit any footage for this prior to today. But it looks great. I mean, again, just go look at any trailer of the game. It looks gorgeous. I've been playing in 4K quality mode. I know there's the performance mode and the RT performance mode, but my first playthrough, I wanted it to be just straight up best graphics, best ray tracing, all that stuff, and it just looks gorgeous. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful. Absolutely just stunning game. Drop dead gorgeous. I cannot put enough praise on Insomniac. I don't know how they're doing what they're doing. With no crunch as well, but this game just looks top tier. It looks like a next-gen game. This is a 100% a next-gen game right here. It looks fantastic. And then there's also the rifts as well and how that works. Now, many of the rifts that you kind of see or that you've seen like in footage and everything, those type of things where like you're rapidly changing through dimensions and stuff, that's more so safe for set piece events and all like that. But in combat, there are rifts that you can do where like you'll be in a fight and you'll see like a blue little portal, and when you look, if you're within range of it, it'll highlight yellow, meaning you can latch yourself over to it like mid-fight, and it'll like change your position on the map, on like in the arena, giving you like a chance to like sneak up or get the drop on someone that wasn't like expecting you. So that's really cool. But then there are also these, what are they called? They're like mini dimensions. There's a certain phrasing that they use in the game, but like little mini dimensions that you can go to if you're just like exploring in the world, and you open them up, and then it just gives you like a chance to do like a small little puzzle, like whether it be a platforming puzzle or something, and you do a puzzle in this little pocket dimension. That's what it's called, pocket dimensions. And you do it, you get a little reward, and then you hop on out. And again, like just you open it up, and then you just walk on in, and like you don't even realize that there's no load of any kind when you like go in between the pocket dimension and the level you were just in. Like the level's just right there, you just walk right on into it, and then when you're done, you just walk right on back out. Like there's no hitching, no clear and obvious, oh, we're changing levels or anything. It's like it's seamless. It's like that, and it's really cool. There is one planet in particular where like it takes real cool advantage of switching between dimensions kind of like rapidly and all. It's really cool. It was a really fun one to go through. But yeah, I'm loving this game. I'm really enjoying this game. I should be done with it soon, actually. It's pretty short. I think all Ratchet games are fairly short, but this one does seem kind of short. I think I've been playing it for close to 8 hours now. I'm nearing the end for sure. So yeah, I'll be done with it soon. I'll have a review for the channel sometime soon as well. So keep your ears and eyes posted for that. And the last thing I've been playing this week is Super Smash, because Kazuya is in the game, and he is a interesting character, to say the least. He is fun to play as, but he is definitely one of the more complex characters to play as, because like the other fighting game characters, Ryu, Ken, and Terry, he makes use of like his actual inputs from the Tekken games that he comes from. But so like, yeah, he has his, the typical 4 moves, the up, down, left, right, and then for your specials and your smashes, attacks, and all like that, and then your grabs and stuff. But then he also has like the directional input moves. So like you could do like side, down, side to do like a crouch move, and then he has like his tilts and everything. He has a litany of moves. It is a lot to keep track of. For the first time, whenever I like play as a character, normally I could just like jump in with them, and I'm like, sides, smashes, and all like that. I know the general gist of things with them. But with Kazuya, I had to like go, while I was in training, I had to go to his character move list to actually like see what his moves are, because he has so many of them. And some of them are like the tilt moves, some of them require you to do like 2 different inputs and all. It's a lot. But if you actually take the time to learn like what his different moves are, he's actually pretty fun to use. He's fun to play as. Now, I myself, I'm not a pro player or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to be out here, going into tournaments, trying to do major combos or anything like that. So, but I think that he's a character where you see what his different moves are, and you see which ones you like and can do and pull off. If you take those and get those down, you'll have a good time with him, because he's really strong. He's a strong character who could take people out pretty easily, pretty quickly, to say the least. But he's not necessarily one that is a quick and easy pick up and play. He's a one where you have to put some work in to understand how he works and how best to use him. Like going up against ranged characters, he needs to be in your face to do any type of real damage. He has his long range special attack, but like if he wants to do real damage, he has to be in your face. So if you're playing as someone who's fast and able to like just kind of keep putting the pressure on him without letting him get a chance to attack you, or able to like keep him at a distance, at range, you'll do fine against him. But if he gets in your face and he's able to like start getting combos in, it's a wrap. I've been having a good time playing as him, though. He's a lot of fun to play as. So yeah, he's another great addition to the Fighters Pass, and I'm hoping that the next one is Sora. Please and thank you. But with all that being said, that'll wrap up this episode of the Play to Win podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. Came in about an hour, just under an hour 30 or so. Not too bad, if I should say so myself. Especially considering it was just me and the topics we had. And I know it was just me. I hope I wasn't too annoying. I hope you all still did enjoy this episode, although it wasn't. Keiran here with me as well. Remember to go follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play2WinGame. Follow us over there for updates on the show, all that jazz. And you can send us there for a question of the episode. Send us a question to ask us, and we'll answer it on the show. Stuff like that. Also, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like the videos, turn on notifications, comment, so on and so forth. Share the show with anyone and everybody. Same goes for podcast services. Like, comment, favorite, all that stuff. Share the show with anyone, everyone. It's all really greatly appreciated. You can follow me, Tyler, your host, over on Twitter at TylerMiller2496, where I tweet and like and retweet about a lot of cool and funny stuff. So give me a follow over there. I am more than happy to chat with anyone and everyone. And Keiran's not here, but I'll promote him. You can follow him on the internet, really anywhere, at Badlynet, Badlynet. It's all one word. Follow him, go chat with him and stuff. Send him your well wishes. Wish for a speedy recovery for him. Hope he feels better soon. Hope he's able to join us next week for the podcast. Really, fingers crossed he is. That way we can have a normal show and chat about stuff together and everything. Definitely miss his presence here this week. With all that being said, though, thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Play to Win podcast. Have a good one.